Hey y'all! Today I'm coming to you with my promised rant review on Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is gonna be fun. I am going to preface this video by saying that I think this book has a good reading experience. I enjoyed it while I was reading it. As a mystery novel, it's fine. Like, it has a really solid plot, there's some fun murder elements thrown in there, it kept me thinking the entire time, and I was always filled with anticipation for what was coming next. So as a mystery novel, it's fine. Everything else in this book. Everyone's kind of heard about this book on BookTube, so I'm not going to bother explaining what it's about. If you do want to check that out, I have a 30-second summary and 30-second review that I will link in the description for this book. But let's get into talking about this book. This also feels like a good time to mention there are going to be spoilers throughout this book. I thought it was going to be minor spoilers, and then I looked at what I was going to talk about regarding maybe the relationship and stuff, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. So if you haven't read this book, or, you know, if you don't want to be spoiled, I will see you some other time. But, whew, there are so many things I want to talk about. We're going to start off with the kind of major thing that got to me when I was reading this, and I do mention this in my review, but there is a character who prefers they, them pronouns, who Stevie, the main character, misgenders, and Stevie misgenders them in her head, like, because it's from her point of view or something, but, still, like, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Mainly because when this character, I don't remember their name, they're a very, very minor character. I think their name is, like, Viv or something, but Viv is, I don't know if I should use Viv. They're introduced as preferring they, them pronouns. And near the end of the book, they're at some kind of dance or something or other, and Stevie thinks of them as a her. Stevie thinks, like, her arms wrapped around, and I was like, oh no, because I was focused on this. It's really blink and you miss it. It's just that once. Every other time, they are referred to as just their name, which I don't remember. I'm assuming to avoid misgendering them, but, you know, it happened at one point. So I was really focused on this because my friend Jess has been looking for non-binary rep, and so I immediately texted them and was like, oh my god, Jess, there's someone who prefers they, them pronouns in Truly Devious. And then I read to that dance scene and was like, never mind, Jess, don't read this. It is not fun. So that immediately, like, put me off. But then there's also something I didn't realize until I finished the book. At the beginning, in the tour, there is a girl in a wheelchair and a girl in a hijab, and they are never mentioned again. They are just there to be diversity for diversity's sake in the first bit of this book. So, you know, that was also fun. But yeah, so immediately those things kind of just was not great, just objectively. But we're going to get into more of what I personally think. I will say, I did not connect to or relate to or enjoy any of the characters in this book, but that's kind of a personal thing, so I'm not going to get too far into that. But I will talk about all my complaints about Stevie's character. So, Stevie is the main character of this book, and she is supposed to be, you know, like, the person who wants to be like an FBI investigator, and she knows everything on the Ellingham Academy case, and she's supposed to be, but this is like her entire thing, right? This is her thing. So we're introduced to Stevie as someone who is really good at this, and she wants to solve this case. And, like, for an example of this, after the murder of her classmate, she goes and locks herself up in her room to write down everything she can remember about that day, because she knows that witness testimony is really easily tainted, especially if witnesses talk to each other first. So then she locks herself in her room, won't talk to anyone, goes and writes down everything about that day so that she knows her, like, version of events. And, like, that's the kind of girl she is, right? But then she decides to use anecdotal evidence to accuse someone to their face. She stuck her hand into her bathtub to grab something, and she got these scratches on her hand, and then she sees the dead classmate's laptop in his room, which I guess it's not really tainting evidence because they were packing up his things, but still, she sees that there's these scratches, and she goes, oh, I know what scratches like those are like. I got them on my hand once. So we're already on anecdotal evidence. But then she uses that anecdotal evidence to accuse someone to their face of being the murderer without, you know, having any other proof, without telling anyone else, without telling, maybe, like, the security person who literally was like, hey, don't play detective. It's not as fun as it sounds. Also, if you think of anything, please come talk to me so I can deal with it. So, you know, isn't that great? Because you don't need to have solid proof or anything before accusing someone of murder, or, you know, there's not like a chain of command in the FBI that you want to be a part of. So that was fun. But then, the kicker here, she accuses this classmate, like her name's like Ellie or something. She accuses this classmate, and this classmate, like the police like end up like locking her in her room, but she escapes through the window. And Stevie decides, I'm going to go into her room, because we don't worry about tainting any evidence at all. And not only does she go into her room, she goes into her room with the guy she's kind of with, and makes out on her bed. Dude! Also, I do realize there's definitely suspension of disbelief in this entire plot and how much Stevie knows in general, but if you're going to set Stevie up as that kind of person, I'm going to hold her accountable to all these things. So, me saying that she should have known not to taint evidence and make out in her classmate's room? Yeah, I'm putting that against her and her knowledge of whatever the fuck she wants to do with her life. Continuing on, in the book, Stevie, like in her room, she wakes up in the middle of the night, and there's like another Truly Devious letter that's like projected onto her wall, and she reads it. It's another rhyming poem about murder signed Truly Devious, and she like panics, has like an anxiety attack, like goes to her friend's room, and her friend's kind of like, okay, well maybe it's an anxiety dream just because you've been focused on this case for so long. Fair enough. Camera, focus on me, please. So, you know, fair enough. She thinks that way, and then I'm like, cool, great, fine. But, you know, after your classmate is murdered, you don't think that that could be maybe somewhat related or important, or at least of interest to anyone? You don't think that potentially it could be useful at all? You or your friend? Really? It's in the synopsis that Truly Devious strikes again. But it's not in the book because Stevie is the only one who sees it, and she only tells her friend, and no one else knows, and she doesn't even think it is. It's in the fucking synopsis! I feel like there are so many things in this book that could have been solved with just a bit of communication between you and your friends and the guy you're kind of with, or the security guard who gives you advice and tells you to go to him if you think of anything. Oh, okay, but let's talk about the love interest and that relationship, because it's a mess. David. I'm pretty sure David is a psychopath. Okay, let's break it down. There is a point in the book where Stevie's parents are thinking about withdrawing her from Ellingham Academy because their classmate has been murdered. So, you know, they're thinking, maybe my kid will die here. So they're like, okay, maybe we take Stevie out from the school. And Stevie's like, crap, I don't want to leave. So I'm going to have lunch with them and try to convince them to let me stay. And David takes it upon himself to save her, because why wouldn't he? He pretends to be her boyfriend in front of her parents, so that her parents think, oh look, Stevie's trying to like actually kind of be normal, and she's found herself like a nice, preppy, rich boyfriend. That's great, we'll let her stay. And so, you know, already hero complex is there, and narcissism, not to mention, but then, during this lunch meeting with her parents, David talks to her parents and lets her parents know what his parents do for a living. Camera, please focus on me. Canadian lighting is so fun. So he goes, this is what my parents do. And Stevie's kind of like, after the meeting, she's kind of like, dude, okay, I'm almost certain that's not what your parents do. Like, dude. And he goes, well, my parents are dead, so thanks for bringing that up. And, we love emotional manipulation because that's a great way to end an argument and a conversation. And also, you know, that spectacular ending, guess whose parents aren't dead? Well, at least his dad isn't, but still. Really? You're going to end an argument by saying your parents are dead? As emotional manipulation to a girl you kind of indebted through forced hero complex? And then you reveal at the end of this book that your dad is not only, in fact, not dead, he's the politician Stevie hates, who Stevie's parents work for. I forgot, he also gets her parents a better job with his dad because he thought it'd be helpful or something? Psychopath! Okay, I think that's kind of it. I've also kind of run out of steam for this because I just yelled for 5 minutes about why David's a psychopath. But I hope you enjoyed me losing my shit over this book. If there's more I can think of, I will leave it in the description, probably, or just add more to this video. And I will see you sometime. Goodbye.